Hey and welcome, Miss Kira Speaks. Please do your girl a huge favor and stick around till the end of the video. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. We're back for another episode of BMF Season 2, Episode 9, High Treason. Now this was one of the better episodes of the season. And you know, this season we're starting off every episode with a quote from Terry. Then we open with the fellas racing, and then they quickly give us a flashback to 2 days ago, and we hear Terry telling Meech that they need to get rid of B. Mickey. If it was anyone else, you know the end of that sentence. BMF don't kill family, Meech says, and this is going to follow us all the way to the end of the episode. And he's telling Terry that they need to focus on expanding and setting up shop in Atlanta. Terry's concern is at some point, Brian is going to offer B. Mickey a deal, and it's going to be him or them. So then finally Terry thinks about it, and he's like, all right, how about we take him to Atlanta with us and then just leave him there? I think that's what they came up with, and that was their agreement. Child, okay. So now we're back to them racing in these cars. They're on their way to ATL to go to Freaknik when Bryant hits Meech up. But Meech, you know, he kind of dusts them off. And when he hangs up, he tells B. Mickey, like, don't worry, I got you. So as these two get to talking about how great Atlanta is, B. Mickey's like, maybe he'll stay. That might have been a good idea. So as they arrive at Freaknik, you know BMF got to give you a little bit of a history lesson. Freaknik started as a picnic for students who couldn't go home during spring break. At least that's what Terry is narrating to us. And you know the vibes of Freaknik. So we see a dude and he is pushing up on this girl hard. I mean, straight rude, straight disrespectful. Meech, ever the gentleman, steps in and tells him putting hands on a woman is bad for business. And then somehow he gets into a beef with some dude named Remy Ransom, and B. Mick comes up with that strap because you already know how he do. So Meech, he ends up letting the dude that was pushing up on the girl go, and it was one of the PA dudes, and he's saying that it was bad for business. Even though he was one of the PA's top earners, Meech says it's only a matter of time before he gets pinched and snitches. So back in the D, we see that Brian has got a new safe for this strap, and his son Kevin is worried that the bully's going to bother him at school because he thinks the bully is the one that broke into their house. Brian is trying to convince him that he has everything secured, and he's showing him all the different measures he's taken. And Kevin, he's really still not buying it. So as Brian is talking to him, he decides to hit him with the line from Bruiser, which is a character in the book that Kevin has written, and tells him that he's gonna fight to live another day. Now, I don't know if that was enough because later Kevin shows up at the precinct, baby. Brian is doing whatever he's doing, so he ends up talking to Jen and telling Jen about the break-in. He tells her that he thinks it's the bully, but his dad says that it's not. Brian comes in and him and Kevin kind of go off to the side to talk, and Brian is trying to get Kevin to, you know, learn to fight and all these different things that he's been trying to do all season, and Kevin is not trying to hear him, and he says that he wants to move him back in with his mom because he doesn't feel safe. Brian continues to try to tell him not to run away, but then finally he just goes ahead and concedes. Ooh, child, we see Lamar at Alvin's place, and he's telling him that Meech has him blackballed. And Alvin, he doesn't give a what. He's trying to watch his TV program, and he's telling him he ain't seen no money for rent. He ain't seen no money for cremating Blackie. And you know Lamar's like, I ain't giving you shit. And then he ends up tossing Alvin's TV. I said, I saw that coming. I have said this in my other recaps. I don't know why Alvin puts up with Lamar's foolishness. He has been the only one to stand 10 toes down. And Lamar don't give a fuck. But speaking of Lamar, we see him a little bit later and he goes over to pay Monique a visit. He's got some flowers and you could tell she wasn't expecting him. She's impressed. And then he tells her that he opens a college fund for Zoe, and I think it was $30K. That's a lot, especially for back in the 80s. And then he's got a ring for her. Now he says he's not proposing and that it's a promise ring because, you know, they got to take this thing slow and blah, 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 blah. And she's surprised. So then she decides, you know, let's celebrate. So she's got, you know, a little bit of white girl. Actually, he might have had brought the white girl with him this time. The Flannery boys, they go pay Goldie a visit and they got B Mickey with them and she is not feeling him. And we with you, Goldie, because we ain't feeling B Mickey either. Meech has come through with her money and he's telling her that he wants to clean the money at the club, but she don't know these fools and so therefore she don't trust him. Terry says they've been putting in that work and all they need is a little olive branch. So I think there was a birthday gathering of some sort that was going to be going on at Magic City, and she said that she could introduce him to a few folks, including Stephanie, who is one of the biggest real estate agents in Atlanta. She used to dance for Goldie, and then here comes B Mickey with his smart ass talking about, oh, what are you running a stripper success school? What are you running a stripper success school? And Goldie, she don't find that shit funny. She's like, that's just what I'm doing. And he's like, I didn't mean no disrespect. Yeah, okay. So when Meech asks to go to the bathroom, on his way there, he sees a woman on the floor and she's crying out for help. And Goldie rushes in and she helps her up. And we find out that this is Goldie's sister. She's got AIDS and mama, she's just tired. Back at the station, Jen apologizes to Bryant about Kevin. And she's like, oh, Kevin said you think it was the bully. Lies. She asks if anything was taken. And he says, nah, he thinks that he was just trying to scare him. He says he's not even going to file a report, that he's going to handle it himself. We ping-ponging back and forth. I probably should have wrote these notes a little bit better, but Meech and Terry, they paid Ty Washington a visit at his home and they got cash with a little extra. Terry's telling him that they got a Colombian plug and that they want to put a flag out there. Ty, he doesn't want them stepping on his toes, and they promise him that they're not, that ATL is the first hub out of Miami off of 75. Ty, he kind of agrees, and then Terry's asking him for an exterminator. Back at the Flannery house in the D, we see that Pastor Swift, or Pastor Snoop as I like to call him, has come to take Lucille to dinner. Charles asks when she's going to be home. She's like, I'm grown, I don't have a curfew. So the two of them, they go on about their business, and dutiful Nicole has some dinner for Charles. Now out at this restaurant, Lucille is sitting there with Pastor spilling all her personal business. She says the Lord has forsaken her. She's complaining about Wendy's and the pay at Wendy's. She's talking about how Charles is paying for a motel. And he's trying to talk her through it. And she's saying that all the men in her life have betrayed her, broken her heart. Meech, Terry, now Charles. Pastor says he got her covered. And he puts his hand on her knee. I said, forget them ties. He want them thighs. She moves his hand. She says she just needs to be counseled, not covered. Well, amen. So then when the waiter comes over with the bill, he says, you can go ahead and send that on back and split that right down the middle. I said, Pastor, you low down dirty dog. She just finished telling you how her money was tight. Now, part of this was on Lucille because you did make it seem like a date and y'all should have been meeting for counsel after church. But we gonna move on to Jen and stinking Bryant's behind. She visits Bryant at home on the late night because she thought he could use some company because Kevin's not there. So we know why she's really there. So she comes on in and they get down to business doing what grown-ups do. And after she rocks him to sleep, or so she thinks, she goes off to do a little snooping. Just when she finds a hospital bracelet, Bryant pops up and she tells him she was looking for a blanket. Back over at Mo's place, her and Lamar are doing lines and I was like, this is a bad idea. Then she gonna tell him she got him something to make him feel better, and you know it's some of that rock. He say he do lines, he don't F with that, you know, he's real sophisticated like, and she's like, you know, it'll get his mans together and get him, you know. So she goes ahead and put it in the pipe and he's like, oh, what am I thinking, ladies first. She tells him, oh no, you hit it first. So then at some point it's lit. He grabs her and makes her hit it first, and she does, and I just cringed. I was like, girl, like I said, when you was doing lines, it was a bad plan, but I was like, ooh, this is going south. So she's just a coffin. He grabs her and he kisses her, and then he just grabs her by her neck, and I was like, oh shit. The two of them, they get to tussling, baby. He's like, I knew I couldn't trust you. Meech put you up to this. And mama, she put up a good fight. I mean, the two of them was tussling all around that room. They done broke the urn that Blackie was in. She done kicked him in his business. But in the end, he ends up on top of her and he chokes her out until she is no more. And I said, oh, Lord, not Mo. Now, Cash Doll on her IG did say that the lady that she was portraying is also no longer with us. That's not how she went out. But I said, oh, child, I guess. So Lamar calls the only person he can, Alvin. And Alvin comes over there and it's just pure comedy. Revenge made you kill the only bitch that loves you. Don't call her a bitch. She's a dead bitch. And then in the midst of all of this, the phone rings and Alvin's telling him, don't answer that phone. Don't answer that phone. And he answers that phone like a fool. And who's on the phone? Zoe. Just the all out bad move, because that now puts you there. So I don't know how you think you're going to get away with this. But then Alvin says, like, come on, let's get the body up, because they're going to take the body and they're going to cremate her. So the next morning in the A, Meech, he's sitting there and he's talking to Ty, and he's asking Ty about this fake chain that he's wearing. He's like, his son got it for him. You know, he thinks it's real, so he wears it. You know, it's all about family, and he loves his family. Family is important, he says, and he never takes it off. I think I said that already. So Meech is telling him that, you know, you need to hit up Magic City with us later. Like I said, I should have put these notes a little bit more together. I think I put them in actual scene order, which I should not have done. I haven't been doing lately, but I guess on this one I did. So Jen, she starts to snooping and she finds out that B. Mickey's mom was transferred by Bryant. And then Bryant comes in while she's getting all the information. She confronts him about the bracelet and him making the transfer and the mom dying. And he says, yes, he moved her, but he moved her when B. Mick ran off with the product and, you know, the 2 keys. And then he's telling her in all honesty she was there, but then he moved them. And you know, we know what the story was. But he didn't want to compromise her, which is why he kept all this away from her, which is what he's going to tell her. And she's like, listen, I'm going to keep this between me and you. But that is strike 2. We get a quick little scene of Meech at Freaknik, and he's politicking, trying to get people to meet him at Magic City so he can, you know, arrange some things. Back in the D, we get Nicole, and she's giving her mom something to eat, and she's telling her that she always takes care of everyone else. And I said, oh, you love to see it. Now that's the one we should be worried about, Bump, Terry, and Meech. But then trouble comes knocking. It's Mabel's funky ass, and she's come to return the skillet, and she thinks she's just gonna skedaddle. But Lucille, she asked her to sit for a minute. She wants to talk to her. So she asked Nicole to give them a minute. So as they're sitting there, Lucille's like, Charles is having an affair. Mabel's face, child, she was looking shook. So then she's like, Lucille's like, she knew in her gut that something was wrong, but he kept saying everything was good. But a woman always knows. Mabel's like, yeah, girl, a woman always knows. Now, Lucille figured that she can confide in Mabel because Mabel's already been through it because she's divorced. And at this point, I'm thinking, ooh, I probably hope I didn't hit that mic. At this point, I'm thinking Lucille probably thinks that it was Sister Riley, which it was not. So now Mabel, she goes in her purse to get Lucille a tissue, and she sits right on the table a matchbook from the Easy Rest Motel. Baby. Miss Lucille, she picked up that matchbook and she looked at it. And then she stands up and she says, I found a receipt in Charles's pocket from the Easy Rest Motel. You know, I've been thinking about what I would do to the bitch who ruined my happy home. I thought I might just go upside her head. And then Miss Lucille, baby, she picks up that skillet. But then I realized it was you. And you see Nicole sitting on them stairs looking like, oh, just hurt. Nicole looking like this bitch. So then Lucille takes her fingers and she puts it over Mabel's mouth. And she's like, don't you say a word. Don't you say a fucking word. So Mabel, she kind of moves her finger out the way and she stands up. And Lucille's like, all this time, I thought Charles was building a shed for you. But instead, he was over there patching up your dry ass walls. Baby, the way I hollered, I said, not her dry ass walls, Lucille. I never meant to hurt you. That's why I broke it off with Charles. Bitch, please stay away from me and my family before I kick your ass all up and down this street. Child, I thought Lucille was going to give her a little sweet taste of that little skillet real quick before she told her that she was dead to her and basically to get the hell out of her house. And she walked all up on it till she got out. I said, ooh, child, that scene was good to me. Mabel did not know. Them church ladies. So then she picks up Charles's guitar and she is just bashing and breaking and beating that shit up. And Nicole comes over and she's trying to comfort her. She's like, Mommy, it's okay. It's okay, Ma, it's okay. Child, I've been there. And then Charles comes in with his raggedy ass. Mabel, really? I love you, not her. Any shred of love I have for you is gone. And then she walks out and Nicole's like, just go, Dad, like you've done enough. Just go. Also been there. So back in the A, we see Terry and he's meeting with this exterminator and he's sitting in the car and dude has the most awful snapback of all time. The plan is that he's going to make it happen outside of Magic City that night. Back at the station, Bryant, he's on the phone arguing with his ex, and when he hangs up, they find out that one of the bosses, I think, comes in and says that he found her rapping outside of a stash house and that the fingerprints match, boom, Harold Mills. They picked him up this morning. So it's looking quite good for Jen and Bryant, but back in the A, it is Magic City time. And B. Mickey, he feels a little naked without his strap. Meech gets introduced to Dilla from Clark Atlanta, and I think this was Mo's cousin that was doing the introductions. So she takes him into the blacklight room, baby. But not before B. Mickey spots the dude with the bad snapback standing next to Terry. So Meech is in this blacklight room tearing this girl up. And after they're finished, we found out her name is Cardia. Child, they were talking about how country each other's names are. And then we see Meech's, it's just hanging out there with a condom hanging on the end. And I said, well, at least they're practicing safe sex. And she says she's going to call him Big Meech. Because ain't shit little about him. His money, his manhood, or them big ass feet. So the fellas are all enjoying themselves. And then Goldie introduces, I think it's Meech and Terry, to her real estate lady, Stephanie. So they start talking about properties and what they require from the property. Of course, they don't want no nosy neighbors and then, garage, all the stuff. And she says, she'll make a couple of phone calls. So now as everybody goes off, Goldie talks to Meech about what he saw earlier. And she's like, that's my baby sister, Sandra. She's dying from AIDS. And yeah, she does have help, but she is Goldie's responsibility. And she says, when you really care about someone, you go the extra mile. So I'm sure, when they say these lines, a lot of times they don't give it to us for no reason. So now, meanwhile, over in the car, Rennie and his boys, they spot out Meech and they find out that they're trying to set up shop there. It's time to head out. And when they get outside, dude with the bad snapback is standing there. And B. Mickey sees him. It is totally obvious. And he starts to shooting. Everyone gets low. He's shooting, and then Rennie and his boys start shooting, and it's just a whole mess. So Rennie and his boys pull off, and then when it's all said and done, Meech is okay, Terry is okay, B. Mickey is okay, but Ty Washington is down. Meech is over his body and he's calling for him for help, and he's telling him, he's like, nah, we gotta go. Baby, I'm sorry to make this recap long and to be acting out these scenes. So we see Meech and he's in the elevator at Ty Washington's and he's got the son's chain. And we get to the elevator, we hear, you drunk? You forgot your elevator code? Meech, where's my husband? There was a shooting outside the club. He gives her the chain. I'm so sorry. Get the fuck away from me. Ty, why you do this to me? I'll make him pay. I promise. And then she slaps Meech. I want whoever did this to pay. Make them pay. Now get the fuck out of here. The absolute worst acting child. They ate mama up. I posted a couple of the things, that memes and TikToks and stuff that they on my Twitter page, but she is a beautiful woman and nobody's perfect. I mean, I talk my shit, but I mean, if we want to keep it real, your girl took acting classes back in the day, so I know it's not easy. But if she gets a couple acting classes, she'll be good to go. So now we're at the final scene, I believe, of the episode. We're on the roof with Terry and B. Mickey, and they're talking about how horribly the night went. And B. Mickey's like, that's why you try to set me up? And B. Mickey pulls the strap on Terry. I saw you talking to the hitter in the parking lot. We all did. It was horrible. It was so bad. F you and your lame ass brother. And then Meech comes up behind him and he's got the strap to his head. Put the gun down. Everything I did was for you. Trying to kill my brother? Meanwhile, Terry in the background screaming, take the shot! Take the shot! Shoot this nigga! I was like, God, I lied for you, killed for you, and I still die for you. Like I said, Terry's still screaming in the background because he wants him gone. No. Meech says, I can't lose another brother. We started together. We gonna end it that way. Terry wants to know how the fuck you plan to do that. And he's like, by going directly at the mother effer trying to break our family apart. And I said, that's a bad move. Y'all gonna go with a cop, but okay. So while they're going through all of this, Markeisha calls Terry and they find out that Boom got arrested. And Meech is like, good. Terry's like, no, Brian got pictures of us doing it. So they gotta skedaddle. Back at the station, those photos worked, and Bryant says Boom said that the Flannerys stole K9's Colombian Connect. So him and Jen, you know, the two of them, they want to talk to the witnesses and blah, 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 and get back on top. The strength of family lies in loyalty, but they were so busy fighting that they didn't see that their enemies were closing in. That's what we hear Terry narrate, and that is the end of the episode. This was such a good episode that I just had to recap and get it up no matter what. I know this shit is crazy late, but it was so good. I may say this, I said at the beginning it was one of the best episodes of the season, and I just said it, but was this the best episode? I don't know. Episode 10 though, not so much. I wasn't crazy for how that particular episode went. I will get that up at some point. It probably will not be this week, maybe next week. I got other things to do, so just keep your notifications on if you're interested in hearing my opinion on it, on my little recap, because you know I like to run everything down. But just let your girl know that you stopped by down in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.